Welcome to Jewish Boy Calls His Mother. I'm your host, Sadia. This is my mother, Ema, trying to battle a cat. You good?
Yes. Last night, the cat, I was trying to sleep,
Yeah?
and when the cat wants my attention, she goes in the bed with me, and she'll take her paw, not with the claws, but the soft paw with her claws retracted, and will pat me gently on the face and wake me up that she wants me to stay with her.
Oh, that's awesome.
2 in the morning,
Oh, yeah, I had that
3
same
in the
problem.
morning,
Yeah,
4 in the morning.
yeah. Especially you have to start your day at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's not a pretty sight. Also, is your video facing you? Can you see yourself? Are you making sure you're properly
Oh,
angled?
let me do that now.
Yay, exactly. Gotta make sure everything is all nice and um trying to think. So we were talking earlier today about some stuff, but I literally just forgot about all of it. Um, can you possibly refresh my memory?
Oh, I wanted to talk about my connecting flight debacle,
Oh, your connecting flight debacle. Oh, how terrible. Continue.
and I'm going to name an airport. I don't care.
Yeah, that's right.
They need to be called out.
You live your life dangerously, Emma.
Here's what happened. Um, I called the airlines. I won't mention the airlines, but I will mention the airport
Hmm.
because the airlines that'll come out later in the story that
Hmm.
evidently they've had trouble with this airport before. So
Yeah, continue. You can talk through the tail
the
whips.
tail. Yeah.
All right.
So what happened was I was concerned about my connecting flight, the time between my first flight and connecting flight being like 45 minutes. So I called the airlines and I said, listen, this really concerns me. It's only 45 minutes. Now, are the gates close so that, 45 minutes will be okay? Or are the gates, like one gate all the way at the other end of the airport, which will be a problem? So the person told me that 45 minutes between the first flight connecting flights is pretty average by their airlines, and it really shouldn't be a problem. Okay. So on the flight, the plane came in on time, but what happened was the gate where they were supposed to pull in was taken. And so the pilot announced that he would be taxiing for about 10 minutes till another gate opened up or till the first plane left this gate. And sure enough, he was taxiing. It was not long, 10 minutes maybe, that's all. And I didn't have a carry-on. I just had my purse. So real fast, I jump out of my seat to try to run. And all these people get up in front of me.
Oh gosh, so
So
terrible.
I had to wait for them to, I couldn't, because if I say, excuse me, I got a connecting flight, they'll say, we got connecting flights too. So,
Yeah.
I didn't want to start a fight. So I had to wait. I run. My luck, the connecting flight is all the way at the other end of the airport, and you have to take a shuttle to get there.
Mm.
I get there, momish, second, door closed. Just closed. So I explained to them, didn't you get any communication? Because in a lot of airports, if you're connecting to the same airline, they will send a message ahead to the airport telling them, we're slightly delayed, and most airports will be kind enough to hold the connecting flight for those people that are switching because, a circumstance. So if it's not too long, this was just like 10 minutes. So they said, we never received any notification, and too bad the door's already closed. It's me. There's this Israeli man who he was just beside himself because he needed to fly to Tel Aviv ASAP.
Oh wow.
And his bags were in West Palm. We're going to be in West Palm. That's where his flight was going to be. So I said, listen, I really need to be on this flight. I said, when's the next one? That was the last one leaving for the day. The next one is going to be at 6 o'clock in the morning. By the way, the airport was EWR, New Jersey, was Newark, New Jersey.
Hmm.
So they gave me the option of being put up at a hotel. I said, fine, at least I'll go to a hotel. At least I can get a good night's sleep. Fortunately for me, I packed a lot of snacks. I had a lot of food for myself. And so they give you a voucher for a meal, but it's not, it's not usable because there's no real kosher restaurant in the airport.
Wasn't there,
And
didn't
Hmm?
one of my sisters show you that you can go to certain kosher stations in Newark Airport? Were they
What it
good?
is that there are certain stations that sell kosher food, like kosher sandwiches, but these vouchers are only good for restaurants. I tried using that. I've tried in the past using one of those vouchers
Yeah.
for snacks, for one of the snack stations, and they said, sorry, it's only one of the restaurants.
All right. So continue. You were saying?
So what happens? So I figured, okay, at least I'll be in a comfortable hotel. I'll be able to get a good night's sleep. Okay. I go to the hotel and I was under a lot of stress. I lay down on the bed and I just toss and turn and I could not sleep the entire night.
How
Not a
come?
single. I tried closing my eyes. I said, well, at least close your eyes, eat briefly, and at least relax, because at least you're laying down. And they say if you can't get to sleep, then laying down and just totally relaxing is the next best thing. So I did that for 6 hours.
Oh gosh.
And then I go in the morning to the airport. And so, fly in. And it was very important for me to be back because not only did I have work, but I had an important music program at the school that I was playing the piano for.
Oh
And
wow.
they really needed me. I mean, this was a very important parents coming, presentation. So I really needed to be there. So when I called the director, it was 10 o'clock and I notified the director on my way and she goes, she was like ecstatic. Oh, good. Yeah. So I come and I went for 2 days with no sleep, basically.
Oh gosh.
And driving back, I actually fell asleep behind the wheel a couple of times and woke myself up. That's scary when that happens. So anyway, so when I got my bag, when I came into PBI to get my bags, I spoke to the baggage manager of the airlines, and I said, "Can you perhaps talk to the higher up, and maybe they can talk to their personnel and say, please be in communication with that, with our pilots or something. If there's a plane that is going to be, like a few minutes late, please wait." So he says, PBI does that. He says, we're very good about that. He says, and there are a lot of other airports that are very good about that. He says, unfortunately, Newark is not one of them. He says, Newark is known for being just mean and nasty and not, being too accommodating. And he showed me, he says, let me show you my office. His office was filled with suitcases from that connecting flight.
Oh wow.
From
That's
that one
crazy.
where I came and picked up my my baggage. He says, all from Newark.
Jeez.
So people who are, anyone listening to this podcast, if you are an employee at Newark, maybe you should bring it up to your superiors that they can be a little nicer about being in communication with an airline of the same type when you have a connecting flight and waiting a few minutes.
You tell him who's boss, honey. You march on to Washington. Yeah, with that. Ooh, you got this. Ooh, yeah, you're in charge. You betcha. Oh, 100%. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like no one. It's like a drop of water in the ocean.
Look, you know something? You never know. You never know where you're, what's gonna be with you. Sometimes people say, forget it. It's not worth it. Can't fight City Hall. Sometimes you say something, someone else says something, so the right people hear about it. And there are times when things do get changed, do get done.
Hey, Emma, I have a question.
Yes.
Did you or any of your friends, I know some of your friends did, but the ones we've talked about previously, ever turned down a marriage proposal? And if so, why? I know we talked about your roommate. But it was man. Is there anyone else or anything else you that like I guess refreshes your memory?
I turned down a marriage proposal.
You did when?
I was young. I was up. Oh my gosh. I had to be. Oops. Excuse me.
Yep.
I had to be about. I was going into my second year of college. I was about 19,
Oh wow.
and there was this boy from New York who I was introduced to. But there were people in Baltimore who I forgot if they were friends with. They were friends with my sister's first husband's family or something. So one of the relatives, one of the young man, like around 20-ish, was coming in from New York, and I thought, it would be nice to introduce me to him. Maybe, we could go out. So we went out a few times, and then that summer, he invited me to come up and spend a few days with him and his mother. His mother was widowed. He lived with his mother, and he lived in the Bronx. He invited me to come up and spend like a few days with them in New York. I said, sure, no problem. So I went up there and we had a wonderful time. We drinking in New York in those days was 18. So he was able to take me to this real nice like Hawaiian nightclub and get me a pina colada and a pina colada in a pineapple. I remember that, the pina colada and the pineapple. And then he took me to, I forgot where we went. I think we went to like in Madison Square Garden, one of these I think it was something Disney on Ice or something, like one of these ice skating thingies. And when we were sitting there, he said to me, how would you feel about, about going steady for a few months and then perhaps we could get engaged? And I was not ready to get married. I really was not. I was 19 years old. I had just started college, and I just felt, his idea was, marry him, live in New York, and I can go to like maybe Juilliard, although I don't think I would have been accepted at Juilliard. I'm not that good, but, go to one of the, colleges in New York, whatever. And I just was not one of those girls who felt I could be married and do college at the same time. I met a lot of college people. In fact, a couple of my friends who got married in college and, were able to continue and do it. In fact, there was one woman in our neighborhood, very brilliant woman, and she got married very young at 19. And she said actually that after getting married in college, she actually did better because being married, she she knew she couldn't party. And so she said that it made her more of a serious student. But I just felt I was the type at that stage of my life that I still wanted to party. And I was not ready to settle down. So I told him, I'm sorry, but I said I don't feel like I'm ready to get married at this point in my life.
Well, how did he take it?
Okay, he wasn't, obviously he wasn't happy about it, but
And your
he kind of
family?
accepted it.
Okay. So what about any of your friends or any of your, I guess, colleagues?
Trying to think, marriage proposals that they turned down. I'm thinking around, thinking. Not that I could think of. The only thing I could think of was, I don't know if we talked about a friend of mine, a non-Jewish girl who was dating a guy that was deployed to Vietnam.
And then how'd that work out?
It didn't. What happened was I felt so sorry for her because while everybody was going out and having a good time and partying, she was home. She was home and stuck at home, just, waiting for him, waiting for when he, because they were engaged. So it's not like she could date or anything. And in those days, if you didn't go out with a guy, we didn't have any such things as like girls going out in a group and just having fun. You really had to, in my day, you really had to have a guy with you to go places. And I felt sorry for her. And then finally he came back from Vietnam. She was all excited and everything. And I have to, I don't have to, I can tell, of course, Vietnam did a number on a lot of guys and did a number on him. And they broke up.
Oh,
And
wow.
all that waiting that she did from sitting at home, and they wound up breaking up.
Did you ever date somebody that you felt was too religious for you?
No, actually, as a matter of fact, there was one guy I dated who was religious, and I thought it was terrific. I thought it was, in fact, first of all, I quite honestly, I didn't know that a person could choose to be religious. I thought you had to either marry someone religious or be born into it. I didn't know you could choose it on your own volition. So first of all, I was very flattered that this religious guy wanted to date me. And as a matter of fact, when he found out that Dr. Kranzler, he had gone to TA, and we found out that Dr. Kranzler was my sociology professor, he says, "Say hi to Dr. Kranzler from me." So I came to class and I walked over to Dr. Kranzler. I said, "By the way," and I mentioned the boy's name. I says hello. He goes, "How do you know him?" And I said, "Oh, we went out." And he was like shocked. He goes, "What's such and such doing dating you?"
Oh, gosh. Sorry.
But when we went out, he told me, he says, "We're only going to kosher restaurants. I'm only eating kosher food, and I expect the same from you." I said, "Sure, fine." I was fine with it. I was okay.
What,
I really respected him for it.
so after that experience, like, how did you feel about dating religious guys? And did you date other religious guys after him, or it was more of like part of your journey?
I realized looking back, first of all, no, I didn't date any other religious guys because none of them, I didn't have, the way that I met him was not through, it was not a shit up. What happened was I was taking the train. In fact, I was taking the train back from New York after turning down this first guy. And I was struggling with my bag. And I go, "Oy vey." And this guy standing behind with a yarmulke, a young guy with a yarmulke, says, "Oh, can I help you with your bag?" I said, "Thank you. Yes, that'd be wonderful." And he says, "Where are you going?" "Baltimore." So I'm going to Baltimore too. And he sat down next to me and we were talking. And then after we got off the train, he said, "Would you like to go out with me?" I said, "Oh, that'd be fine. Yeah." I gave him my number and he called me. And we went out. So, and he also, like, he took me around to introduce me to his friends
Mm.
and like to the community. And I was very flattered that he, wanted me to meet his friends and everything. And looking back, I have a feeling that he might have been a frum guy that was rebelling, because here I was not religious. Obviously, I was wearing shorts with shorts and a tank top, whatever, clothes,
Just,
pants.
yeah.
And I have a feeling he was rebelling and kind of like showing me off to everybody, like, "Look, look what I'm dating. Look who I'm dating, and you can't tell me."
Trying to piss off the parents, kind of thing. I
think
wouldn't
so.
I wouldn't be surprised,
Mhm.
to be honest. But I think there was also, I know growing up with my experience with like from guys dating non-from girls, there is also the idea of, for yourself being with someone who's less religious than you feel like you don't have to either put on airs or feel the religious pressure. I think a lot of times, I know with my experience that, being around non-Jewish or non-religious people, it makes it a little easier to be your Jewish self, because there's some times where you feel like, I'll give you an example. I made latkes one Hanukkah, and I decided to make some and take it to my shir. And I forgot to realize when I offered it to everybody that people don't eat from other people's homes homemade food.
Right.
So there was like this awkward moment of like, oh,
Mhm.
yeah, I screwed the pooch on this one. So like, I'm not saying I'm an outsider or whatever, but it's just like little mistakes like that like remind me that like I'm not, on the same level of frumkeit that these people are. And like, being around non-Jewish or non-religious people, or not people not as religious, makes it easier for me, because then I feel like, well, at least I know myself.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that about making latkes, because actually he came over to my house and I introduced him to my parents, and he made us, in those days, like falafel.
Hmm.
Falafel now is very, very common. You see it in a lot of restaurants. You see a lot of falafel restaurants. It's almost part of the American cuisine now. In
Yeah.
those days, it was totally unheard of in this country. Totally. So he came over and he told us about, he brought the falafel mix, and he said he wanted to make us falafels. And we look and go, what's that? And he explained it was ground up chickpeas, and that you make balls out of, you add like an egg to it, make it into a ball, and you toss it into a frying pan of oil, like pizza bread, the salad, all that stuff. We didn't know any of that. As a matter of fact, I remember the first Israeli restaurant. It wasn't really a restaurant that tried to open in Baltimore. It was actually a trailer
Oh,
that was
wow.
sitting on Northern Parkway, and it was Israeli cuisine. And I remember coming there and just looking and looking. They had the menu posted, and I'm looking up at the menu, and asking the guy behind the counter about every single thing that was listed there, because I had never heard of it.
Mm.
And baklava, falafel, shawarma, stuff like that was totally unknown.
So was this guy Sephardi that you met?
No, he wasn't.
He was Ashkenazi?
Ashkenazic, yeah. But he had been in Israel, and he knew there were some kosher stores that sold falafel mix. So he came over our house and he made falafels.
Did you ever date a Sephardi guy?
No. I'm trying to think. No, never did a Sephardi guy, no.
I guess
because when I became religious, and then about a year or two later, when I actually started dating, really dating on the
the world, yeah.
The shidduch world, all the guys in the Chabad were all they were Ashkenazic.
I guess like
it was before the 1980s, when the Iranian immigration started. That's what's really brought a lot of the Sephardim over, was when the Ayatollah hit Iran, and a lot of them had to leave.
What's interesting is that technically Sephardim came to America before Ashkenazim, but they mainly
you read about that, yeah.
Yeah. But
I know in New York they have the Portuguese synagogue is in New York.
Yeah. So when you hung out with him and his friends, did you notice anything, I guess, like different by being religious Jews and how they conducted themselves, or you weren't really paying attention to that?
Well, the only thing I noticed being a woman was that the girls were dressed very siniously, long sleeves, long skirts. Like I remember when one summer, I went to community college of Baltimore City Community College, and this girl who sat behind me in one of my classes was a frum girl, and it was very hot. It was summertime, and in those days, a lot of schools and a lot of colleges, college buildings, except the dormitories, a lot of them did not have central air.
Oh, wow.
And it was, they had fans all over the place, or maybe they had units. So she was sitting, and I remember commenting to her, I said, "Why are you wearing these long sleeves? It's so hot. And long skirt and stockings." And she just smiled and shrugged her shoulders. And, the frum community in those days, for some reason, I noticed that they were not anxious to give out information.
Yes.
They kind of kept to themselves. And if you ask them, like, why this, why that, they were like, Well,
I'll give you a reason, actually. When I was in TI, I think in third grade, and I really started learning about halacha, I was told not to tell people, especially not to tell non-Jews, because they can misconstrued, blow it out of proportion, and then use it against you. So that's why we were told and taught not to do that. But because of the internet, it's really impossible to even do that, because people do their own research nowadays and they blow things out of proportion. Now it's important to explain things. But I remember as a kid being like, not to tell people stuff because they're not going to understand it, because there's a certain framed mindset that you're supposed to have when you're understanding these laws. And if you don't have that framed mindset, you can misconstrue a lot of things and take a lot of stuff out of context. So that's why a lot of people would just not say anything, or I was told not to say anything. But like Chabad was a whole different market where it was more like, no, you should say something, at least to the non-religious Jews, and try to educate and inspire. So yeah. But so I guess when you came from, was that something that like you started becoming, people started teaching you more, or you started learning on your own? And if so, was it something that like first you were taking it back on, or anything that you felt excited about or a little deterred?
Um, the when I started becoming like started having like a Shabbos family, going to a Shabbos family and started going to Chabad show. There were some shiurim, a few shiurim in the area, but they weren't there was nothing really for a Baal Tshuva girl. There was nothing in Baltimore, which is why I went to New York. And I remember one shiur I went to, it was a Chassidish year, and this one of the ladies asked the rabbi who was giving the Chassidish year, he was talking about Kedusha and how by using material things that we bring for mitzvahs, that we bring Kedusha down. We elevate the physical. In other words, like Rabbi Gordon once said, other religions keep their religion to go to heaven. We bring heaven down here. And so she said to him, well, are you telling me then that a Cadillac is more holy than a Porsche? And when I heard that question, I went, I got to go to New York. I can't live through another shiur where someone asks a question.
Yeah, I
About
mean,
a Cadillac having more Kedusha than a Porsche. Oh my gosh, no, I got to go someplace where I can learn.
yeah.
In fact, before I found Chabad, I was looking for some sort of program, and I called Ner Israel. I didn't know what else to do. I called Ner Israel, and they said no, they didn't have anything for women, but they said maybe if you want to study Judaica, you should call Goucher.
They send you to Goucher?
No, she said to me, maybe you should call Goucher.
Yeah, that's what I said. They try to send you to Goucher.
So I said to her, Madam, you don't know what I'm talking about, and just hung up the phone.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's
She didn't know that I
for
was
you.
talking about momish learning Torah observance.
Because you went into the belly of the beast of these people that believe in Shach, who said that when the Rebbe was putting tefillin on Yidden in the 67 war and 73 war, he said it's like putting tefillin on pigs. And these people support that ideology. So that's their own personal issue. But
and the Rebbe said that the Shach's tefillin were puzzle.
Yeah, no, he said whoever believes that their tefillin might be puzzle. That was the line. And that's what turned everything a whole fissy. But whatever. I got the back end of it in the 90s, early 2000s, and when I was in elementary, middle, and high school.
I was at the Fabringen, and I heard it the Poel.
Oh, really?
And he said the Shach's tefillin
he called out the Shach?
Yes, he did.
Called him out?
He said his tefillin were puzzle.
Oh,
because the Shach, not only was he against him putting on tefillin his campaigns, the Shach was even against people coming and making aliyah to Israel. He was like, he felt that he was, I don't know, I don't want to say that he felt that Israel should that the Jews should turn Israel back to the Palestinians, but he was actually he was against basically like the Jews coming back to Israel and
making aliyah, making
right
because he
from
did
Jews.
he didn't want Jews coming to Israel.
About from Jews coming to Israel. And that's when I think it was Hebron. Maybe it was the issue with Hebron, that he felt that the Jews should not settle in Hebron, something like that we should turn Hebron over to the Palestinians. It was something like that. And that's when the Rebbe said his tefillin were puzzle.
Yeah, I remember when the Shach passed away. I think in 2001, 2002. A friend of mine went ahead and threw his picture in the trash because that was right after people took the Lubavitch Rebbe picture that I hung up, and they threw that in the trash. And then he got kicked out of school, and then he just went off to yeshiva.
Did he go to Chabad yeshiva?
Yeah, no, this guy was Chabad. This guy was Chabad all the way. It's just that part of my life when it comes to Judaism really gets under my skin, and I do what I can to like let it go to the best of my ability. But like everyone else knows, like your childhood and childhood years of growing up really stick with you. Like
that's so true. Oh boy, Charles Dickens in his books.
Oh yeah,
points that it's a very big part of Charles Dickens' writings was how childhood affects us, like all the way to adulthood, and past, like the rest of our lives. But I'll tell you something interesting that you mentioned about like some things the Shach said. I remember when the Rebbe started his campaigns, and one, of course, was the mikveh campaign to try to educate women about Taharas Mishpacha. And so I had all these pamphlets. So I was going around to all these places, passing out pamphlets about mikveh, trying to talk to women about mikveh. And boy, did I get a backlash. In fact, I tried calling the conservative and Reform temples to ask, if I could
We've
come.
talked about this.
Yeah, right. So anyway, there were some from women.
Oh, wow.
In our community, not Chabad, but when I spoke to them about perhaps, joining me and passing out pamphlets and approaching non-religious women about the mikveh, you know what their reaction was? They go, "Don't do that. They might do something wrong and matame the mikveh."
Yeah, I mean,
so I went to Rabbi Feldman, and I said, "Rabbi Feldman," and when I asked him about what these women said, I said, "Is that possible? Can a woman mess up something in her preparations and matame the mikveh?" And he said, "Absolutely not. No one can matame a mikveh that is apikoursis 100%.
Yeah, well,
he says it's impossible. You can never matame a mikveh.
I mean, that honestly, that's the way I feel like when it comes to a lot of Frumkeit, and I've mentioned this so many times on the podcast and in real life about the importance of people learning halacha and studying halacha, because you get some real religious Jews say real ignorant stuff that like is against halacha completely. A story of one person, and please don't try to fill in the blanks. I'm being discreet for a reason. One person who converted to Judaism and then left the community, and people came up to me and was like, "Oh, are they still Jewish?" I'm like, "Yes. Once somebody converts to Judaism, you can't unscrew that pooch. You are Jewish." And like these were from people coming out to me and like being like, "Oh no, yeah, they're not Jewish, right?" I'm like, no, they are Jewish. It's just their own journey they're gonna have to go on and figure out and discuss and find themselves. And it's just like there's so much ignorance, and you have to work so hard to really find the truth. And I've said this multiple times, especially during like this whole stint of October 7th and things like that, with all this misinformation about Judaism and Israel. A lie is halfway across the world before the truth puts on its shoes.
Well, that was Mark Twain.
Yeah, Mark Twain said that. Okay, I just was like,
lie is halfway around the world before the truth even gets its boots on.
Yeah, it's just so wild. It is what it is. The only person you could do is educate yourself. You could try to educate others, but that's again only so much you can do. You know what I mean?
No. Listen, no, we're human beings, man. We're not God. We don't know everything. Yeah.
I think that's why Hashem gave us the Torah, because we're so fallible, and as we're fallible, still trying to do the right thing is a lot better than someone who's a robot who knows to do the right thing. Like everyone talks about like AI art and how good it is, but how pretty AI art is, there's still a tint to it, at least for now. You can tell it's made by a robot. And I think there's always going to be a need and a want for human interaction with things.
Yes.
You know, like I was on site today and everybody was like, had like iPads and other types of pads and, you know, drawing on them. And some of the bosses and me too just had a pen and paper writing things down. You know, it's like, it's just another medium, but it's not necessarily the end all be all.
Oh, I remember one time your sister, I was giving her a phone number. And so she goes, wait a minute, she's trying to, feed it into her phone, press contacts, press this, press that, you know what I mean? And she goes, oh, I found out. Let me try again. I took while she was filing, sitting around her phone, I took a piece of paper and a pen, wrote down the number here.
Oh God. Yeah, I think that's kind of what happens the whole time when, like, sometimes if I'm doing work that needs to get done or need to draw something up, I just pen and paper, easier, quicker
Yeah.
than trying to.
I call it the old fashioned way.
Yeah, the old fashioned way. But yeah, I think the whole point of also this podcast is just educating people of Jewish culture and maybe even some Jewish law. But I don't put too much heavy emphasis on that because, you know, Jewish law is very complex and you can't just make a blanket statement, you know. But at least people should be exposed to these episodes and us and really get a better handle of like what it means to be a Jew, I guess.
And Raven wants to be included too.
She tries very hard to be included.
Yes. Mhm.
Because she's just so darn cute.
You want to say something to the audience? Yeah.
No, I think she's good.
Oh, this is a good picture of us together, no?
Yeah, it's a great picture.
So much.
No worries.
Oh, she's camera shy.
Oh, now she's camera shy?
Yes.
Aw, she's so adorable.
And how are your cats?
I got scratched up over here and over here. I was trying to put what's it called? I was trying to put flea and tick medicine on Oliver and he is just scratching like crazy. I think I might just get some calming treats just to put it in him so he can just like, you know, chew them and then
wait, is it like ointment that you put at the back of the neck?
Yeah.
Okay, what I have a problem too. So what I do is I usually wait for her to be napping. And
he's quick.
What?
Even when he's napping.
Even when he's
napping, he is quick.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Surprise, boy. I know they don't like it. It's very uncomfortable for them and they do not like it. I know what you mean. It's like I've got to sit and wait with the thing like in my hand. In fact, I can't let her see it.
Yeah.
She can't see, if she sees it, I'm in trouble.
Oh, forget about it.
I have to have it ready and away, hidden away, and wait till that one quick moment when she's not looking and her eyes are focused on something else. Maybe she's sitting calmly looking out the window and then come up very quickly and do it real fast.
Yeah.
Yep. I know. Yeah. It's be very quick. Did you put peroxide on it?
Yeah, I put peroxide. I rubbed it all over. It's
good.
You know,
and your scratches. That's very important. Anybody who owns a cat, you get scratched, take a Q-tip and put peroxide on it right away.
Yeah.
Because cat claws carry staph.
Because they use their claws to bury their poop. So they have poop on their claws. When they get poop scratches you get poop scratches, which is
that's staph. Very dangerous. In fact, that can be dangerous.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so that concludes our episode. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. I hope everyone enjoyed it. And I guess we will see you, God willing, next week. Have a good Shabbos.
Have a good Shabbos, honey.
All right, love you.
Love you.
Bye-bye.